When someone in the community wants to initiate a circle, they meet with a facilitator, and in the pre-circle, the facilitator is going through basically 5 steps. So the first one is finding the act. The second one is hearing meaning, so the impact that this act has for the person initiating or anyone else when they get pre-circled. Explaining the restorative circle process and checking whether there's any questions. And then asking the participant, the initiator or the following participants, who needs to be there. So who's to be invited to attend the circle, to participate. And then whether they want to go ahead so that there's voluntary consent.
Who needs to be present at the circle?
Yeah.
The 4th step is asking the participants who needs to be there. So obviously the facilitator starts with asking the initiator, the person calling the circle, who needs to be there. And this is probably one of the aspects that's unique about RC, is that it's the participants who decide who to invite and who to have present.
Mira and Uma, they're the 2 sisters. And Daniel, he's the baker. He has a brother, and I can't remember which one bakes and knots, but so maybe his brother also, but I have to find out his name. So just now you can say X, and I'll find out his name.
So when we ask the initiator who needs to be there, they may give us 6 or 7 names. Let's say it could be less, it could be more, but let's say they give us 6 names. Then as facilitators, we would contact those 6 people and have pre-circles with them and ask them also that same question, who needs to be there. So the list may grow because those 6 participants may add another 3-4 names or less or more. And so the list grows and we meet everybody asking them this question.
Janet, my mother, so she was there. And also my friend Pranav, we go a lot. And when I shared this with him, he was actually very stimulated, or very positively stimulated by the conversation.
But you could tell me who's named, and then I can tell you if I think...
Yeah, if you think about someone else.
When participants answer this question, it's very much an intuitive answer. So they don't need to give a logical justification as to why they're naming someone. Now, it's very likely they'll name people who are either directly impacted or maybe more indirectly impacted, or names of people that they think might have some insight into how things happened or why things happened that way, or even some insight as to how we could move forward. But the facilitator would never ask them, to explain why they're naming somebody. So it's very much an intuitive, spontaneous naming.
And maybe this woman, Stephanie, so she's also, I see her regularly eat there. She used to be in the FAMC. And from my understanding, she has a solid understanding of economy. And I imagine kind of normal economy, but also an interest in alternatives. So I'd be curious just what she thinks. Daniel from Tanto Pizza. Just because the restaurant is so close by, and he's also a fabulous businessman. And Salvaraj, he used to be in the council. I don't know if he still is, but he runs Kulapalyam Cultural Center.
And one could have a concern that because the naming and the inviting, that responsibility is left to the participants, that they could, run wild with it and just name anybody and for no reason. And yet I've not experienced that in our circles. So in our circles, I've really seen that actually, even though I say it doesn't require logical explanation, that really it does make sense who is named, and somehow to trust that. And also if somebody seems totally random and they don't feel called, they'll just say no, they're not interested to participate.
Nandini. She's a young woman, maybe 20 or so. She You know the grocery shop, the small shop, village shop next to where they sell vegetables?
Yes.
She's the daughter of that woman, Kala. And she worked, they hired her for some months, I think last summer.
Let's say somebody hasn't been named, but they hear about this particular circle happening and they hear about the topic and they feel called to be there. So somehow they're moved and they're intrigued. This process allows for them to name themselves. So they would contact the facilitator and say, hey, I heard that, such and such a circle is happening. It seems I haven't been named by anybody, but I'd like to name myself, in which case a facilitator would schedule a pre-circle with them.
I would also name, I think, Ratnam. He is an Aurovillian. He's in the financial service. Years ago, he was part of that Kulapalliam Development Council. I don't know if he still is. For this topic, I would invite the few Tamil Aurovillians who live in Kulapalliam, or live in Oromodel, or live in that area. Perhaps invite Boomy, who has the restaurant Happy Food.
What I also find interesting is that nobody has any power to unname someone or to remove someone's name from the list of those who are invited. So, if participant X doesn't like participant Y, but if Y is named and invited and wants to come, he's fully entitled to be there. And if they don't feel safe together, then maybe, one could call in via Skype or via Zoom, something like that. But that really, everybody is entitled to be there. There's no control from the facilitator's side.